Hey everybody, welcome to the Remedy. Hi, I'm your host Tony Pantaleresco, and you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. You can access the show by typing in www.themicroeffect.com and click on the appropriate links, the chat room links. Come on in, make friends, get acquainted, cooperate, come up with some great ideas, save a planet, especially ours. It's a good one to save. I'm also published at several different locations, Brian396.com, BuyByBlueSky.com, GetCanada.com, and throughout the internet. So if you type in Herbs Plus Beadworks or my name, Tony Pantaleresco, I'm sure you're bound to find me somewhere, someplace, some way, somehow, causing some kind of controversy about what's going on in our lives in regard to health. I'm going to get right into it today. I want to talk about some things I think we need to talk about. I was talking to Brian earlier today, and he kept reminding me that I should be saying Brian 396, not 369. This is what happens when you get sleep deprived and no coffee. I always say God said, let there be coffee, found in the first book of Tony, first chapter, and it was good. So, if I want to get the record straight, it's Brian396.com. And if you go to Scribe, www.scribe.com, /user /339991 753 /Brian396. You can go there, and he has got all kinds of data, and I'll put it in the chat room for those of you in the chat rooms. This is what happens when you come to the chat room. You get the advantage of seeing the links and getting the access direct. Go there. He is one of the leading discoverers and researchers and developers in this tech, not in saying this tech, but in fighting this tech. I have collaborated with him over the years on this, and when people tell me all their theories about what they think nanobiology is and more gallons and whatever, I obviously, at this point, after going through so much of this, I would have to say that really, and if you haven't read either his research, mine, or have gone to buybybluesky.com, and I've said this many a time, and you click on her health link and the nanomore gallons link. If you haven't read that information, then whatever you're getting is, at best, from the Disney Channel. That's all I'm going to tell you. And that may sound like braggadocio, that may sound like a bit of an arrogance, but I'm going to tell you straight out, them's the facts, period. And if you haven't read that information, and if you're still teetering on the fence on some of your ideas, opinions, or whatever, because you haven't personally seen something, then you're in for one hell of a hurt. All I'm going to tell you. I'm getting contacted now daily with targeted individuals from all over the planet, and they're telling me some of the most horrific stories that they are dealing with when being targeted with frequencies. And I'm going to tell you something, and I'm going to tell it to you the way it is, how it is, and where the rubber meets the road. If you are not up on studying on this technology, this bioterror, this biosynthetic, this nanosynthetic, if you're not looking at this like you should, if you're not studying this like you should, when the time comes and they activate whatever they need to activate, it is going to be excruciatingly painful, like you have no idea. When you have something constantly gnawing at you, tearing your DNA down, breaking down your proteins, and assembling inside of you, and some of you are saying that you're not having any of the symptoms of the outward appearances or the external effects. Well, I'm going to tell you something. This technology grows top down, bottom up. If anybody is selling you anything in regard to carbon C60, nano silver, nano copper, angstrom minerals, monatomics, ultra-fine particles. Some of you are going to write me, well, what about monatomic gold? Let me rephrase this. If it's saying these terms, you are dealing with a nanobiological technology that does not work for you. It accesses you. It integrates with your DNA strands. When you even look at the carbon C60 research on it, they're telling you in small amounts it's not going to hurt you, but in large amounts it can cause a lot of damage. This stuff is accumulative. And the other thing about this, because so many of you are running blindly into this thing, which really astounds me to no end, that you're so gullible because you're turned on by the Disney Channel and get so sensationalized into believing the bunk and the bullshit and the marketing in this thing. This stuff has never been tested properly. None of the nano that's exposed right now in the marketplace has ever been tested properly. And when you look at the earlier research, if you can find it now, because it's going to be very difficult for you to find it, we got a ton of it buried, we collected it, you are going to find now that all you're going to hear is the positive, blowing the sunshine off your backside marketing nonsense on this tech, because they want this inside of you, and they want it inside of you badly. When we're talking voice-to-head technologies, when we're talking controlling your DNA, when we're talking about programming a human being, I shouldn't say human being, let me rephrase that. When we're talking about programming mankind, we got a problem. We got a problem. How bad is rice flour as a supplement ingredient? It's probably one of the cleanest ones, Jude. I don't have a problem with rice powder. It can be GMO. It's a high probability that it is. But considering what they're putting in these products today, it's probably one of the safer things to use as an alternative. I will buy a CQ10 if it's in a rice flour. I will not buy CQ10 if it's mixed with soy, canola, or some other omega-3, or if it's mixed with stuff that has artificial and natural flavoring agents. These are by far more horrific and more dangerous and far more damaging than the rice flour could ever be. If you can, what you might be better off doing, it's a little bit more expensive, but you now have control. And this is the thing I'm trying to reiterate with a lot of you. Okay? This is the thing I'm trying to reiterate with a lot of you. The more control you have in the food you're eating, in the supplements you're taking, and even in the medicines that you're using from the pharmaceutical industry, the better off you're going to be. Because a lot of you do not ask the right questions. You go get a prescription from a doctor and you say, well, if I don't fill my prescription, I won't be able to have a doctor. I mean, seriously, doctors have a place. Unfortunately, they're not in it. Doctors used to have a place and a role in our system where if you got ill, broken down, or needed a remedy or something remedial, they would get you something, get you back on your feet and help you recover. Unfortunately, that is not the reality today. And unfortunately, you are using a lot of these drugs that have excipients that can cause a great deal of genetic damage in the head, in the brain. And you don't ask the questions because you are afraid. Now let me remind you of something here, okay? Take the bull by the horns. Grow some testicles. If you're women, borrow some, What can I tell you there? Genetically, there are some slight differences. That happens to be one of them. But, have some testicular fortitude and demand to know what is up and down. If your doctor is too busy to take the time to explain to you why these excipients are inside these drugs that they're giving you, then maybe you shouldn't take their advice. If they're not willing to take the time to explicitly express why they're putting this in those drugs and why those chemicals are there and the problematic effect of an accumulation of these materials in the body, if they can't explain this, then you need to maybe find another medical practitioner. Or better yet, become your own medical practitioner. In other words, instead of practicing medicine, practice things that cause life, that create life, that can bring on life. Start studying. A guy contacted me today from the Middle East and asked me about using an EDTA chelating property for reducing blood pressure. I said, or diabetes. So I wrote him back, why would you do such a thing when you can actually pull out metals or minerals in the body that are required to regulate the insulin, like manganese, for instance, zinc and potassium and chromium. See, these are minerals that regulate that biological function and that biochemistry. So why would you want to use a chelating agent to pull that out? See, get the information that you need to understand. Diabetes is a pancreas issue. Damaged pancreas is what you have because it's been overworked and overstressed by the dietary genetics that you've been consuming. Now, some of you, it's not your fault. The fault lies here with the marketing industry that has propagated these foods as some kind of panacea to keep you healthy, which is a lot of horse hockey. They are causing your internal organs to hyper accelerate and to decelerate. In other words, to help accelerate your breakdown, okay? To accelerate you wearing out. Anybody today that's still propagating this idea of eating 5 meals a day is stupid, utterly stupid, because that is wearing out your insides. That is wearing out your insides. And if your insides do not have a chance to rest, then you don't have a chance to recover, because it's in the rest is where you recover. You know, I get guys that work out all the time. They're lifting tons of weights. You know, they think they're Tarzan on steroids. And they lift 5,000 million pounds a day, and they think they're getting big and strong. And then eventually they start breaking down. They have elbow injuries and knee injuries and ankle injuries and hip injuries, and their ass is sore and their midriff is sore and their legs are sore and their arms are sore. And they're just sore because they get into an overtraining cycle and they don't properly rest. And they're beating their bodies to smithereens, and they don't realize that all that activity that they're doing is causing a hyper acceleration of the body to break down at a faster rate. When they tell you to exercise, it should be a moderate kind of exercise. Going for a walk, riding a bike, riding a stationary bike, walking a stationary track. If you have access to a swimming pool, if you do have a set of weights, do work 15-20 minutes a day with the weights. You don't have to lift a house, but you need to work the muscles. That's all you need to do. So they don't atrophy and they don't wear out on you or break down because of atrophy. There's a balance of not doing anything, and then there's a balance of doing too much. We are living in times today. Those of you who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and maybe early 80s, and they're still functioning and fighting. And when you're looking at what's going on, we don't need to get caught up on these distractions about looking like Dynamo Joe. You don't have to worry about looking all that pretty. Take care of yourself for sure, but don't get caught up on such on the distractive aspect of this that you got to put war paint on by the gallon. You got to look like you look like Mr. Charles Atlas or something to that effect. Take care of yourself and get involved in making some changes that are required to make. I got a call this morning from Newfoundland, and I was really kind of surprised actually. And Newfoundlanders, they have an accent, and I've been around it, so I recognized it right away. It was either that or somebody from not Nova Scotia, but New Brunswick. Anyway, so he started talking to me. And he said, bye, because the way they use the term boy is they say bye. Bye. You need to get this stuff more out there. He said, well, all the crazy things going on this planet. He said, you need to do more getting this out there. So I'm in 189 countries. What more can I do? But he gave me a chuckle first thing this morning. You know, I mean, they got. I mean, these are good people. They really are. They're good, friendly bunch. They I worked with a lot of them. They're very salt of the earth type people. You know, when we all get together, we speak very strong Canadian tongues. We use the salt of the earth language. But they're good-hearted people. They really are. And you know, if you ever have a chance to go up Newfoundland, go for it. You know, go check it out. Check out the people. They're a good bunch. But I mean, this was encouraging, and this was really enjoyable to hear for a change. You know, hey boy, you need to get this out more. Oh man, it's unbelievable. So the next thing I've got to do is now get a big, huge radar signaling thing and send signals out. Watch YouTube. Watch YouTube. So, does that rest mean to fast from detox formulas as well? On some level, yeah. Some of you get caught up on these detoxification formulas that you're buying at the health food store, and a lot of them just don't work. Today, a lot of these things just don't work. We're dealing with a whole different paradigm today, and the more you get caught up on that principle, that we're no longer dealing with just a simple biology, that we have things coming down in our rain, they're being carried in what they call elastomers or hydrogels or liposomes that are incubating material inside of these things so that when they hit the ground, they spread. Brian396 sent me a picture today of a lemon of all things. And this was inside the lemon. When he squeezed the juice, he had this green crap all in it. Now I'm going to make another comment because I had a guy from New Zealand contact me, and I didn't know what to make of it. I'm not sure if he was smoking something or what, but if today, if you can see chemtrails in your environment, and if you still think in these times today that your foods do not have these contaminants inside your food or inside the foods you're consuming, whether they be organic or not, then you must be high on something. If you're going to assume that the grains do not have a component in them, I don't know what you're smoking or injecting. And just because you may not see it through one methodology in trying to expose something doesn't mean it's not there. And I want to hit this home to everybody, not to the guy in New Zealand. He made the point, and I thought about this, and I thought you would have to have a rock in your head today to assume that your foods do not have a contaminant in it. There is no way an organic farmer today can be organic. It's impossible. Between the chemtrails, the blow-by, the sparrow and bee and butterfly and insects and mammals carrying stuff over from land to land and crop to crop, I'm not sure how the term even can safely, legally be called organic. Because it follows a profile or a regulation doesn't make it organic. It just means they're following the rules of engagement. It has nothing to do whether the foods you're consuming or not are organic anymore. I think you'd have to have a rock in your head today to still assume that what you're eating is safe. Then I realized something. Some of you, it's going to take a full-blown activity of the nanosynthetics or the nanobiosynthetics that you are going to one day. It's going to open up on you. You're going to have pockets, you're going to swell, you're going to have lines going through you. You may not see anything on the external side. You may see stuff coming out of you from the internal side. You are going to feel pain. You're going to feel electrical stimuli. You're going to feel hot. You're going to feel cold. You're going to feel like somebody beat the blazes out of you. You're going to feel like you're going to hear voices. You're going to hear frequencies. You're going to hear high pitches, low pitches, buzzing noises, whatever. And it's going to take that for some of you because you're too bloody stupid or ignorant not to pay attention. Not to start looking at taking the precautions now before this becomes full-on, full-blown. Because once this does, this is a fight. This is not a fight you can run away from. This is not a fight you can stick your head up your backside and say and pretend it doesn't exist. This will remind you daily that you are living or being co-inhabited with another synthetic form of life. And it will cause irreparable damage to you if you do not, at this stage, start paying attention. This is not going to let up. This is not going to change anytime soon. They may modify the sky, so you don't see a chemtrail and say, oh, they quit chemtrailing, oh my gosh, oh, I can see. And you get all excited about this. This cracks me up too. I get this into me, oh, I bet they haven't chemtrail for a couple of days, oh. Did you ever think that they saturated your section so much that they're backing off a little bit? Did you ever think that? Did you ever think maybe they put something else up there? Did you ever think maybe they're creating a shift in the atmosphere and bringing something else into your region? Did you ever think of this? Do you think for 1 minute that the opposition that is causing all these problems is going to let up? Are you dead yet? If you're not dead, if you're not in a box or in a lab being dissected and being investigated, then it hasn't stopped. Okay, it hasn't stopped. Okay, when this will stop for all of us is when we are 6 feet under and we are on the other side of the pearly gates having a one-on-one with the Great One. Until that day comes, you are here. And as long as you are here, you are going to be assaulted. If it isn't going to be the sky that assaults you, it's going to be the food supply that you're consuming. It's going to be these particulates that they've got floating on in the air. It's going to be something that they're going to be hitting you with a frequency. Some voice popping in your head saying, oh, you can't win. You may as well give up. Oh, you may as well just die. Just let it go. Quit. Or, this is God talking, and I want you to move. I want you to drop everything you've got. I want you to leave, and I want you to go to another place, and I want you to go into this place and find this location, and I want you to go there. And you go and find out that now you're being assaulted from the very gates of hell itself. If you hear the voice of God, you better have validity and verification. And you better see a burning bush in front of you, and you better hear him talking to you one-on-one and ask for proof. I've often said many a time, if Jesus Christ himself showed up in front of me, I want to see ID. I do not want to deal with an angel pretending to look like Jesus. I don't. See, you got to remember something. And this is where the deception is going to come in for a lot of you, because you're not paying attention. That blue beam, when they fire that into your head, and you got this carbon C60 material inside your head, or you got this silica material inside your head, or these other nanometals inside your head, they're going to allow that blue beam to access your brain, and they can put into your head whatever they want to. And if you think I'm full of horse hockey, why don't you go look at DARPA N-3? Why don't you go actually take a look at the blue beam, what they've done with animal studies and with people, how they can shift the brain and cause the brain to receive transmissions. I'm telling you this, so when it happens, you test it. Now, if you're a Christian, you believe in Jesus, you better call on his name. If not, you're going to get an ass whooping, because these guys are not going to fool around. They are going to try to deceive even the elect. That's what the Bible even tells you. So the elect can be anybody that God chooses. Whether they know it or not, God may choose them. And this is for everybody, that even if you're not part of part of Christianity or following, believing in Jesus, maybe it might be a good idea to start. Who knows? That's something for you to decide. But you might want to pay attention to those words that he said and spoke on. Not these goofballs in the ministries and these pulpits on television, these Masons, these Masonics, these protocols of Zionists, these Jesuits, whatever the bloody hell they are. Don't listen to those idiots. You better read the blueprint. That's the illustration right there. Because I'm telling you, you are being loaded, and they want you loaded with this crap so that they can run these controls on you. And I'm going to tell you another little thing. The more you guys cooperate with each other and work together with each other, the more solutions you guys are going to come up with together. And if you're each helping each other, you're going to survive. The arc that's coming today is not an arc out of gopher wood and pitch. That arc today is by us getting together and building a network with each other to help each other get through this. That's the only way. I was thinking about something the other day. Everyone's telling me they're all going down to New Zealand. The elites are going down to New Zealand. They're not going to New Zealand. They're going in. They're come up with their own arc. And that arc is going to be something that can submerge underwater or go into tunnels, into mountains, or whatever. They're not going to a country. That's the distraction. Pay attention to. Don't pay attention to the distractions, and don't pay attention to them either. Worry about getting the stuff out of your system. Worry about getting yourself whole. Worry about getting yourself with the mind, a proper mind. Get your brains back so you can think, so you can rationalize, so you can see things clearly. Get your systems back so you can function again. That's what you should need to be doing. Get yourself so that you're in a situation that if something should go wrong, you lose your power, or you don't have, or you have a steady food supply just in case things happen and things run out. I was reading something the other day that says things can change in 7 days. 7 days, everything can change. 1 week. In that 1 week time, you'll either be like the 5 wise virgins or the 5 foolish. One or the other. And that's according to the scripture. So again, you choose. That's simple. You choose. That's how it goes. And that's how it is. This is the times we're in today. These are times where there is going to be no compromise, no sitting on the fence, no sticking your head up your backside nor in the ground. Nothing. Okay, we are coming to the point today that the reality check is right at the door. It is here. And if you've been inflicted in any way, shape, or form, you've been targeted with frequencies, you've been hit with voices, you've been poisoned with this nano, you're breaking down exponentially, you got organ failure going on, you got autoimmune disorders going on, everybody around you is sick, you got kids today that are sick with health issues they shouldn't be dealing with in terms of their age. They should be 90 before they have any health issues that they're dealing with today. Then you know you're being assaulted. I hear the music. Come on by. Let's quit being assaulted. See you in a bit. Hey, I think we're back. We're back on The Remedy. Hi, I'm your host, Tony Pentelleresco, and again, you're listening to us live on the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Before the break, we're talking about awareness, not allowing yourself to get into a state of complacency. We've heard these words before, and it's pretty tough to stay consistent with when you hear stuff like this about being complacent. When we're looking at that word, I'll tell you, where you become less complacent is when you are in a network, because each person that's involved in that network will help the other person sustain the interest, sustain the fight, to sustain the drive that's required. There are days you are going to be tired. There are days you're going to be feeling like, oh man, what is the use? This seems like it's such an overwhelming overload that holy jumping. But you got to remember something. They've got a 40-year head start on us. And the only way we're really going to ever get caught up on this is if everybody was working 24/7. Okay, which is not going to happen. But at the least we can do at this stage, we can mitigate a lot of these issues. And some people who are going to be doing research, who are sharing the research, Brian 396 shares his research, I share my research, Bye Bye Blue Sky shares her research. Everybody is sharing their research freely. And the reason why it's being done freely, I got a website full of free information there. That's because the necessity of you being aware of what's going on and the importance of this is crucial. You need to know. And you need to know how to defend. And I'll tell you what I'm seeing too, which is really, really, really encouraging. Told you I got a call from a guy in Newfoundland, and he was like, "Yeah, you got to get this out more." But I'm also seeing people telling me that they're now going out and getting at the iron oxide and aluminum oxide, and they're painting their homes. They're getting lead powder. They're painting their homes. They're designing things to again neutralize the frequencies coming through the door. They're changing the way they're eating. They're looking at the videos that we've done, especially the last ones. The TIs are looking at them. They're starting to build the Faraday hats. They're building the repulsor units. People are taking the initiatives. What I'm saying, people are, and this is not something you are going to see on mainstream television. And I'm not saying this to blow sunshine up anybody's backside either. I'm saying this because it's true. That's the emails I'm getting. Man, I'm glad I found you. But I started doing this. I started doing that. I started eliminating this out of my diet. I got rid of that out of my diet. I'm not even taking the drugs anymore. I quit the statins, and I'm getting this all the time. And I'm sharing this with you because none of you hear this enough. You don't hear that people are making the changes. And because everybody has isolated themselves and separated themselves, trying to avoid being sucked into something that they don't want to be sucked into, which I understand. But like I said, those who are creating networks and forming networks and getting together. One way you can create a network with each other is when you go on my YouTubes, for instance, and you talk to the people there, talk to each other on the YouTube. We got more people coming into the chat room here. I'd say the same thing. Everybody should bring their friends and friends of their friends, and everyone start chatting and how we can get together, how we can network, how we can build, how we can come up with solutions, what research we should be looking at. Did you check this out? I'll check that out. Let's combine what we find. This says this says that. Don't get into any kind of a battling match that you're right and they're right. Basically, just research that you're getting there. So then at that point, test the research, because you don't know really what you're reading. You don't know. Until we test the stuff to make sure and validate what we're reading, to validate that it's real. We build the things to double check to make sure if we're looking at supplements, for instance, and they're saying, well, they did whatever form or fashion they did it, and you do it, then you follow the same form or fashion. The only thing that you would adjust the weight volume ratio. In other words, if you take so much per kilo, if they gave X amount to a kilo of a rat or a guinea pig or whatever, a dog or whatever, then you'd have to figure the same ratio out for you. Small doses at many times in a day to see the same results. Because if you follow the dose of the rat or the cat or the monkey or the mouse or whatever they're doing, it ain't going to work with you. It ain't going to work with anybody. Now, I want to read some research here real quick so that you have an idea how to look through these research so you don't get sucked in. Now, it says daily egg consumption may reduce cardiovascular disease. Having an egg a day could reduce the risk of stroke by 26%. Now, this research I'm going to read you sounds like, wow, this is a good idea. I'm going to eat my eggs. And I'm not saying you shouldn't eat eggs. I'm saying you should eat eggs. Okay? But not based on this research. This research is not, it's much to be desired. And I'm going to give you an idea how to look at this. Okay. Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death and disability worldwide, including China. Including China, because China is doing the same thing that the West is doing. Mostly due to ischemic heart disease and stroke, including both hemorrhagic and ischemic stroke. Unlike ischemic heart disease, which is leading cause of premature death in most Western countries, strokes is the most responsible cause in China, followed by heart disease. Although the ischemic stroke, according to the majority of strokes, the proportion of hemorrhage stroke in China is still higher than that in high-income countries. Eggs are a prominent source of dietary cholesterol, but they also contain high-quality protein, many vitamins, and bioactive components such as phospholipids and carotenoids. Eggs are good for you, especially when they're either free-run or free-range eggs. They don't have to be fed with any flax. I don't know why they even put that crap in there. As long as the chicken can have access to the outdoors and feed what's out there to a certain level, you're going to get a good egg. But anyway, let me carry on. And there's no such thing as an organic egg. Or an organic egg that's hilarious. It is not a carbon-based food, number one. It's not a vegetable. It's not a grass. It's not a grain. It is a protein. So let's get that correct. Okay? And it says so here, eggs are a prominent source of dietary cholesterol, but they also contain high-quality protein. It is pound for pound one of the best protein sources that you can consume on the planet next to milk. It beats milk by 1 point as far as biological value or its availability to be uptaken and absorbed. Okay, and they tell you don't eat eggs. Okay, previous studies looking at the associations between eating eggs and impact on health have been inconsistent, and most of them found insignificant associations between egg consumption and coronary heart disease. In other words, the studies have been, one says yes, one says no. Therefore, a team of researchers from China and the United Kingdom, led by Professor Ling Li and Dr. Kang King Ku Yu from the School of Public Health, Peking University Health Center, set out to examine the association between egg consumption and cardiovascular disease, ischemic, blah, blah, blah. They used data from the Chinese Kadoorie Biobank, ongoing with about 500,000 people. Now, they tell you about all the different people and the different results they got, okay? They looked at one group at 416,000 participants who were free of prior cancer, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes. And from that group, at the median follow-up of 8.9 years, almost 9 years, a total of 83,977 cases of CVD and 9,985 CVD deaths were documented, as well as 5,103 major coronary events. At the start of the study period, 13% participants report daily consumption, unusual amount of 0.76 egg a day. That's like 1 egg a day. And 9.1% report never or very rare consumption of egg. Now, they're tying this to the egg, that the egg did all this. And I don't doubt the egg has benefit. But the other thing they don't take into consideration in these studies is that in these studies, these people would be eating things other than eggs. Okay, so again, let's say they're using herbs, certain herbal remedies, like for instance hawthorn leaf and flower. This would make a significant change in the heart rate, the stroke rate, and everything else. Let's say they're eating higher amounts of rosemary or sage or thyme, bay leaf. Let's say they're using a lot of bay leaf, a lot of onion, a lot of garlic. That too would make a significant impact on the heart rates of these people. And you have to look at also in these studies what caused these people to have this type of problem. What was causing them to have the strokes? What were they exposed to? What were they lacking? What was not in their diet? See, these are things that, again, you have to question when you see these kind of research papers, because if you just follow what they're telling you, they say, well, you can eat eggs. Eggs are going to do great. They're going to keep you from having a heart failure. But you got to understand something. There's more to the egg than they're telling you. And they looked at one aspect of the people who consumed eggs and the effect it had on this particular group. But those same people may have been putting, for instance, turmeric on the egg, rosemary powder on the egg, pepper on the egg. They might put garlic powder on the egg, which again will all have an impact on blood pressure lowering and arterial support in the brain. So you see, these things are not taken in consideration when they do these researches. So don't just follow a research. I mean, if you read the research, read it, but really understand and learn to interpret what you're reading, so you're not following something because it says XYZ 1, 2, 3, and because we have XYZ 1, 2, 3 in a certain order or sequence, we are now having perfection. It's not, we're getting the results we're looking for when there may be more than meets the eye. Tony, does ionic mean that it's nano? Not necessarily. It could also mean colloidal. I saw one of your videos, and Brian 396, that you used a liquid selenium. Yes, we made that. I made that liquid selenium. Now I'm just using a liposome. I was looking at some research, and I'm of the mindset that if it's in an oil or in the liposome delivery, it's going to be far better. You can take far more and not have the toxicity issues that go along with just taking selenium. So, as far as buying a product, let's go back to what I was saying earlier. Before you buy any product, and you're not sure about the labeling, contact the company. Ask them straight out, is this a nano delivery method? What is this that you're selling? I do not want nanotechnology in my system. They said, well, why not? Because I don't want it. That's all you got to tell them. You don't have to give them a reason. Says, now I need to know if this is in there. She said, yes, it is. Then just says, thank you very much. Have a good day. And just hang up and put it back on the shelf. You know what I mean? So again, the onus is going to always be on you. Have the assertion aspect in you to ask the questions. Don't be afraid. If the doctor is going to raise hell with you because you asked him a question, maybe you should tell that person, maybe you shouldn't be a doctor, because doctors explain why they're doing things to people. For all I know, you're giving something that could have a secondary side effect that may not be listed on your packaging. And so why would I trust what you've got to say? Just because you went to school doesn't mean you understand this chemistry. And a lot of them don't. Like I said in the past, we've had pharmacists here where I live that refuse to fill a prescription for some of the people that these doctors are writing scripts for, because one lady was 80 some odd years old, and the first side effect of this drug was death. And the pharmacist took one look at this woman and said, are you kidding me? The doctor gave you this? He says, I'm not filling this. And he called the doctor, and he raised hell with the doctor and told him, hey, listen, I'm not filling this. You can stick this thing up your backside. This is not meant for this woman. You're going to kill her. That was a pharmacist we had here. So, and then they sent her to another pharmacist, and he did the same thing. He called the doctor and says, are you nuts? I said, this is going to kill her. So, obviously, when she came to talk to me, she says, no, you don't take that drug. If two pharmacists will tell you it's going to kill you, then the doctor is wrong. And that's another thing. Doctors are not God. Last I checked, he doesn't look like them, doesn't carry a stethoscope, doesn't rip you off. In fact, when you read the accounts of Jesus, he healed everybody and didn't charge anybody. Isn't that interesting? 100% cure rate. Didn't prescribe any medication, didn't give you any drugs, didn't write you any scripts. Said, go thou, be thou forgiven, your whatever, sin no more, because sin is what got us in trouble. Rejecting and rebelling God, and then taking things in our systems that we shouldn't take, not paying attention, not listening. Stupid stuff that we've done. God almighty. So anyway, when we're looking at, that's an example. Now that's a healer. Christ was a healer. He didn't write any script. I don't remember reading anywhere in the 4 Gospels about Jesus writing a script. Hey, you need to write here. Take this drug. It's got about 30 side effects. Have a good day. Here's a statin for you. Here's some brain damaging drug for you. Yeah. Take this brain damager. You imagine that? Jesus writing a prescription. Hey, oh yeah, I got one just for you, buddy. Oh yeah, this one here, man, this one's got 50 side effects. The first one is death. Can you imagine? So, these these doctors need to really stand by their Hippocratic oath, especially the second one when they swear an oath to God. They made a third one where they took God out of the equation. They just swear an oath saying that they are going to, to the best of their ability. Well, that means nothing, I always say, put the rubber where the rubber meets the road is where you need to be. If you're going to be a practitioner, if you're going to be a medical practitioner or a doctor, if you're going to be a physician, then you better take an oath seriously before your Creator, because that Creator has put you in a state of responsibility for the people's well-being and safety. And if you're being told to prescribe a drug that's going to cause them untold side effects, genetic damage, DNA disruption, chromosomal damage, or accelerating the wear and tear of their internal organs, you need to be in another business. You should be a mortician, not a doctor, not a physician, not a healer. You should be a mortician, because you're dealing in death. That's what you're dealing in. And if you want to deal in death, become a mortician. And then let those doctors who do want to practice, and I shouldn't say practice, but act on the concept of actually doing something constructive in healing, then you need to step out of the way, become the mortician, go broke, because these guys are going to fix people. Sounds like a plan to me. You know what I mean? So, and the rest of you the same. The rest of you the same. Seriously, when you are dealing with doctors and they're prescribing you a drug and it has 25 side effects, and if anywhere in that side effect one of the things is death, don't be the guinea pig to find out if that's true. Don't even take the drug. Find an alternative. Find somebody in your neck of the woods that actually knows what they're talking about when it comes to healing the body with safe healing or natural remedies that God put on the planet. This is something that we don't really do, This is one thing that we don't do, is we don't give credit where credit is due. We always look at Mother Nature or some sort of Gaia thing or the universal bunk that they talk about. Nobody gives credit to God. You know that? Think about this for one minute. I mean, who gives credit to God for creating the planet? Nobody. Nobody. We're too busy looking at Anunnakis and Satans and serpents and all this other bunk. But we don't really give credit to God. God created this planet and everything about it. I was looking at, what the heck was I looking at yesterday? I was reading something to somebody. I think it was Isaiah 44. I think this was. It might have been maybe something else. But in there, it talks about, it may not have been that chapter, because we were talking about something, we were looking at something biblically and how it all tied. But in there, it was with Noah, chapter 6. Noah chapter 6, after the flood. And what God ordained that you could eat. God made everything on the planet for us to be able to use. Everything. Okay? He saw that it was all good. Unfortunately, the wingnuts and dingbats that are in power today have created a blasphemic act on God's creation by altering its genetic code so that it destroys our genetics. That is a blasphemy to God's creation. And nobody, like I said, gives God credit. As long as we're eating God's food and looking at and using God's creation, we were doing okay. You know what I mean? We were healthy. We were strong. So when we're looking at God and what He gave us, nobody said, "Hey, God, thanks for what you've done." Nobody says, "God, thank you." What, Mother Nature? What's a Mother Nature? Really? Seriously? Mother Nature? My backside, Mother Nature. Jeez. Anyway, when you get a chance, give credit to where credit is due. Even if you don't believe in God, maybe you believe in a Creator. Well, maybe you should give Him credit for what He gave us to make us whole or keep us alive and keep us healthy. Because I'll tell you something, we've lost that with these compromises and with these corrupt government officials and these corrupt geneticists that have created these anomalies. They haven't improved upon God's creation. If anything, they've created certain imbalances that have caused major disruption on our genetic code. All right, before I go on, you know, I'm always talking about the Micro Effect Broadcasting Network. Please support them. Give them your support any way you can. Help them out. Call up, say hi. How can we help you? ByeByeBlueSky.com, Brian396.com, AugmentedForce.com. These are 3 sites you might want to check out to get informed, to become educated, and to become active in taking care of yourselves in trying to deal with the current status that we're dealing with today. These are 3 places you can go to, support them. They have their own places where you can go and support them financially. Go give them your support any way you can. You got me as well. On my link, you got the catalog link. If you're looking for something, it's there, augmentedforce.com. There's also, I do consultations, so feel free, again, to give me a shout. 519-977-5351 or independz at yahoo.com. Today, more than ever, you know, understand the nature of frequency. I'm going to get into this a little bit today and maybe carry on with it Thursday. Frequencies come in all sizes and shape, and the music you're listening to, I was listening to some kid yesterday talking about music, and he was playing it backwards, and what we got was all these things saying they love Satan, sex, do me, and all these things that were playing backwards. That's frequency. And the kid was wondering, if you can't hear this, is it going to affect you? Of course it's going to affect you. These frequencies can alter your thinking. So when you're listening to some of the music you think you're listening to today, be aware that a lot of them are wound up with hidden frequencies that go into the brain and deactivate or hyperactivate certain parts of your brain. Brian396 sent me something about a young girl that was being hit with this voice-to-head technology, and she was all over the place because of what they were doing. You need to educate your children on the aspect of frequencies, on the aspect of how they can affect the brain. Start with the blue beam. Go look at the blue beam research on rats and mice and people that they've done and conducted experiments, how they can even alter the shape of the brain. This is something you need to show your kids. This is something you need to show this younger generation so that you can then start explaining to them that the music they're listening to, and you can go on YouTube and see the music being played backwards and forwards and all this stuff, and you can see that these frequencies are hidden in the music, which are being directed at the kids. Activating them to become more sexual, activating them to act on drugs, to experiment with, hallucinogenics or brain damaging or brain altering chemicals. Just heard, I hear it's over. All right, come back Thursday. Do your homework. Till then, check out the sites, and we'll see you then. Take care, eh?